Okay, so in front of me here we have the supplies for wet felting. We have our cookie cutter, we have two different colors of wool, and we have a chopstick, and here we have just an extra bowl of warm water. And in here we have a warm water and soap solution. And these are the things that you need in order to create your wet felting design, or at least one that's kind of designated for children. It's a bit easier to do than your typical wet felting design. But to start, we are going to grab just a little bit of our wool. We're going to create a marbling effect with our different colors here, our white and our purple. I'm going to grab a little bit more white here. We're going to put it in our cookie cutter. And then let me grab some purple. I'll put that on top. And I'm not going to add all of the wool I want to use quite yet, because as we add our warm soapy water solution, the wool is going to shrink. The fibers of the wool are going to open up. And as we condense the wool together, it will shrink, and that will allow us to add more wool when it's time. All right, so I'm adding my soapy water solution here, and I have my chopstick, and I'm just gonna start hammering away here. And this is going to allow the wools of the fiber to connect together. And as you can see, I feel like I already need to add more wool. It's already kind of shrinking up here because the water and the soapy water solution. So I'm going to go ahead and add more wool on top. Sometimes it can be hard to judge the amount of wool that you need, so just keep adding as necessary. All right. So again, I'm going to start using my chopstick, and as you go along, the chopstick should, the piece should start sudsing up, and the chemical reaction that's going on inside of the wool is going to allow, that soapy water solution is going to allow the fibers of the wool to open up, and once it cools down, the fibers will then close again, and that'll allow the fibers to connect together and create one piece of art. We're just going to keep going, and as you can see, it's going to start sudsing. And even here, I feel like I need even more wool. So even though it's sudsing here, I'm going to add just a little bit more wool on top. Add a little bit more white wool here. And if you're going to keep adding wool, just make sure you do it quick enough, especially with the water. As it starts to cool down, those fibers are going to start closing up quickly. And so you want to make sure that you add wool in quick enough for it to connect together. A little bit more water here. And this is a majority of the project. We'll keep hammering away with our chopstick to make sure all of those fibers are connected together. As you keep going, the fibers will start to condense, and the project will become a bit harder. And once you get to that point and you feel that it's tough to poke, we're kind of towards the end of the project, but it should take about 5 to 10 minutes. And right now I'm only doing the top. In a minute, I'm going to flip it over rinse it out, and then do the back side to make sure everything on that end gets connected as well. So I'm going to try and pick it up as well as I can from the bottom like this. And I'll wash it in our warm water solution like that. And then this is the top, so I'm going to flip it over, make sure I get that bottom half as well. And then I'll start away again with my chopstick. As you can see, it's still sudsing. And this is also a little bit of a messy project to do, so make sure that you use something with a hard surface underneath, but also something that can help catch water, like a tray or a bowl. It's hard to see under all of the sides, but I can feel with my chopstick that at least in the middle here, it's starting to get a bit harder, so I'm going to start working the edges. Like I said, this takes about 5 to 10 minutes, but you got to keep going the whole way. I might flip it 1 or 2 more times just to make sure I get everything connected on both the front and the back. So I'm going to go ahead and flip it again. And again, I'm going to grab it from underneath, like so. I'll give it a rinse. And then once I flip it, I will work on this side. Make sure I get those edges on this side as well. You shouldn't need any more soapy solution at this point. It will have done most of the work that it needs to do. Now it's mostly using that warm water to connect the fibers together. See, as you keep going, even more suds will form. So like I said, we won't need any more soapy solution for the rest of our project. Okay, I might give it one more flip here, do the back side, and we should be done. Grab it from the bottom to keep it in its form. Rinse. And flip. I like to use a chopstick just because the pointy end of the chopstick helps with just connecting those fibers. Think of needle felting and how the needles help punch the fibers together. It's similar, but you can also use your fingers. You don't have to use a chopstick. All right, I'm going to give it one last rinse, and it should be done. And if you can, I would try to attempt to dry it as best as you can. I'm going to be using paper towels, but a regular towel will do just fine. But if you can, go ahead and try and dry it in the cookie cutter just to get all of that moisture out. As you can see, I'm pushing and a lot of water is coming out. So we want to get as much water out as possible to allow it to dry as quickly as possible so those fibers can close up. All right, and this is not going to dry very quickly, so it might be something that you have to leave out overnight, but once you remove the cookie cutter, it should stay in its original shape, and as you let it dry like this, all the fiber should stay connected together and stay in its original shape.